So Justin is working at this gym near our house, and he's like a trainer now, and doing CrossFit, like teaching classes and stuff.
Oh shoot!
And so my cousin Devin is filming for the gym. Like he's in charge. Justin got him the job, so he's like the social media person for the gym. So he's trying to make the gym like super poppin'. So he goes and like films and like he's basically doing the same thing that he's doing for me, but for Justin's gym.
That's cool though.
Exactly. So he's getting
stuff to put on his
resume.
He's
getting like the experience.
And like make a portfolio.
Yeah. So he's legit. Dev, you the shit.
Zevy, you the shit, baby.
You the shit. You the shit. You the shit. I haven't been paying attention to this game.
I think it's second half's almost done.
Oh yes, but we up. We up. That's all that matters. He ain't got nothing to say.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the No Behavior Podcast. It's your girl, Jess.
And your girl, Jess.
And we're here. It's finally here. We've been talking about this forever.
We're about to get it popping.
Get it cracking.
Damn, you see, like, so that's how far your voice went up?
Yeah, so we have to project when we talk.
I talk hella
because
loud. That's crazy. Mine doesn't ever get that high. I want to hear what that sounds like.
What's up, y'all? It's the No Behavior Podcast. It's your girl, Jazz.
And your girl, Jess.
So we're going to talk about R. Kelly this week because the shit has been crazy. I don't know if everyone has been watching, but Dream Hampton is a director, and she released a 6-part documentary series talking about surviving Rob, aka R. Kelly. So
before I say anything, can I just say?
Well, actually, first of all, let's say trigger warning for anybody who listens to us that may have had any bad. So yes, like we said, if you are anyone who may have been affected by sexual assault or anyone who is very sensitive to the things that we may be talking about, we just wanted to give you a heads up before we dip into that discussion, just in case you may want to leave the conversation and come back maybe in a little while, or maybe just hard for you to hear. All of that being said, did you watch it?
Yes, bitch. I watched it. And let me just say, I want to applaud Lifetime for literally dropping 2 episodes a night for 3 days straight, because that was brilliant.
Okay, I watched them all at the same time.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to watch it because I'm from the place of, we saw him pissing on a 14-year-old like when that video came out when I was younger. So
I saw the video when it came out.
I didn't see it, but I was probably like 8 or 9 when that happened. Like, we knew that then, and it was okay because people were willing to turn a blind eye to it.
I don't feel like,
but now all of a sudden everyone is up in arms about it, and I'm glad that there's being awareness brought to it, but I'm upset that it took this long, for people to get fire under their ass to say that. And this isn't to the director or to the producer, this is more so to society, because now we're really only seeing, and I'll speak to black people specifically, saying like, oh, this ain't right, this is wrong, this, that, and the other. Now, really, versus back then it was like, okay, like, let's sweep this under the rug and it's okay. And it's really not. It's been going on for a long time. I feel like the parents who allowed their daughters to be in the same space with him are just as complicit. I feel as though his security and the people that were around him are complicit. I feel like his wife is complicit to a certain extent. I feel like everybody around knew what was going on. And whether they knew for sure or if they had an inkling, no one said anything, and they allowed him to do what he wanted to do. I don't know if that's because
that's not, or so that's not. I just feel like, so the first thing, that's why I was saying, like, Lifetime, I commend that they're literally like that they did this. Like, I appreciate that, and I like that they didn't make us wait. Like, it wasn't like, oh, you know how some people release shit and it's more for the hype. Like, I feel like the fact that they gave it to us so quickly, like, it wasn't for like the hype. Like, they were really trying to get the message out, which I appreciate. But with that being said, like, yeah, why has it taken this long for it to be this public? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was my first issue. And then my second issue is like, or I guess the second thing that I didn't realize that I didn't know is that he still has bitches with him right now.
Oh yeah, that stuff has been all over TMZ recently. That he had a sex cult in his house.
Yeah, see, I guess I missed that.
And
I didn't know that.
TMZ, it's a kind of a mixed bag with them, because in some ways they are informative. Like, they'll break some stories that are true, and then other, like, some credible things, and then some stuff that comes from them is just funana. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, okay. But they were one of the first people that broke the story of the sex cults and stuff. But I mean, like, if we're starting at the beginning, you know what I'm saying? He married a 15-year-old when he was like 27. And, so, I mean, if that doesn't set bells off to anybody, I don't know what does. And so, in that case, I'll first blame his tour manager, because his tour manager allowed that to happen. He was the one who forged the birth certificate. He forged the marriage license that had Aaliyah's age as 18 when she was actually 15. And she was pregnant. It's just like, okay. I mean, like, they didn't really go into detail about, like, if she got an abortion or if she miscarried or whatever the case may be. But the rumor was that she was pregnant at the time.
Did you hear that Aaliyah's mother is saying that all of that is false? Like,
false.
The whole documentary
and I don't believe
is false?
I don't believe her one bit, because they have a marriage license saying that she's 18. So if they have a marriage license saying she was 18, that means that somebody forged it and it was public record, which means you could find it.
It's really, like, crazy to me
whether it was falsified or not.
Parents are like co-signing almost with like R. Kelly, like, and that just makes you think that how much money is R. Kelly cutting to people a month? Like, well,
let's look at it. Like, what type? I'm going to play devil's advocate, because I'm always the type of person to see both sides. If your child has the opportunity to meet, okay, let's just use somebody, for example, like Michael Jackson. They thought he was touching kids.
My kid's not meeting Michael Jackson.
If your daughter's a singer and she has the opportunity to work with that caliber of artist, you're going to give them that opportunity, even if you have hesitation. But that's where the buck ends, because not at any point should you just be allowing your kid to be in the studio alone with him. You shouldn't be allowing your child to be traveling back and forth by yourself. There was a group of parents on there who had it right until they didn't have it right. He said, one of the fathers said that we would go with her everywhere she would go. If you're doing that, I can't say anything to you, because you're with your child. But if you're willingly just handing your child over, your kids are lying to you and saying they're one place and they're not the other.
I agree.
You know, that's where parenting comes in, because it's like, do you really know where your kids are? And if you don't, it's like, you need to be better on top of that, because your daughters are getting into things that they have no business getting into.
But you also have to remember, agreed, they are young girls, but R. Kelly is the adult in that situation, and he was, manipulating young girls who, at that age, we all lied to our parents, we all did that.
Yeah,
it's just
of course,
that,
but we can't rely on him to be the adult in the situation.
No, exactly, he's not. So, like,
he can't really read either.
No, like he's all the way, like, sick and not like a grown person himself. So that's why he went after the girls he went after. But, like, I think the parents should have been more aware. Like, yes, I would want my child to have an opportunity with someone of that caliber, but, like, the things you've heard about him.
Right.
So why would you not take, like, extra repercussions, especially if you're trying to get your child put on? If you're trying to get your child put on, you should be with them every step of the way. Like, if you're working with my child, I'm gonna know everything that's gonna be happening.
Oh yeah, 100%,
because that's my child. Like, you know what I mean? So
I just feel like, as far as him, there is blame to be placed on him, and I agree that he has 100% blame. But this is more than 100% situation, because I'm gonna blame the parents 100%.
Agreed, 100%.
I'm gonna blame the people around him 100% too. This is 3-time fold situation, because it's not just, and they brought this up in the documentary, it's not just a one-man show. It's not.
He can't even read or write.
Not. Because if that was the case, if he was the only one that was crying. If he was really the only one that was
Phil
with
Rivers
it,
is crying, everyone.
and security wasn't with it, or anybody else wasn't with it, this shit would have been stopped and it would have been exposed. But it wasn't, because people were compliant, people were being paid, and people turned a blind eye to it.
Which
is the problem, and it's disgusting because these young women, older women, young women, however age they were getting involved with him.
Because it doesn't matter. He's a predator.
Yeah, he's a predator. He's a predator. But you want to know what's something interesting? I was watching a clip of Nick Cannon talking about the situation. It was an interview he did with Black TV. And he basically was just saying, like, okay, we already know that he's not the most educated person and that he's not really able to read. He was like, what woman of his age is he really going to be able to sit down and have a conversation with and woo?
A woman who was on the same level as him mentally.
He was like, his mental is not even where it's supposed to be. His mental is that of
a child.
A child. So that's what he relates to, and it's sick. But it makes sense because it's like... And then he got famous when he was young.
Yeah.
So if you have that, so you're mental, you have that trauma, and then you have that mental aspect of it. You're not really mentally mature. You don't grow up. And then on top of that, you have a power complex because you have people around you that do what you want on your whim and that you can pay off. That's a very
dangerous,
wicked, deadly combination to somebody else, because you're not only a detriment to yourself, but you're becoming a detriment to the people around you, and now you're affecting other people's lives around you, and not for the better. It's not like any of these women had poppin' ass singing careers after, or any type of background singer career, anything like that. So it's just very unfortunate. It's sick. They're now saying the state of Georgia is going to indict him. They're trying to indict him now. So
I hope so, because my biggest qualm of like having watched that and like how I feel the most uneasy is like, he still has girls in his house right now. Like, can we get the girls out and then talk about what we got to talk about afterward? Like, he still has young women being held against their will low-key in his house or with him right now.
What I noticed, and I'd have to definitely like go back and watch again, but it seemed like pre-trial, like all the girls were like 14, 15.
He got smarter.
Post-trial, all the girls were like 17, on the brink of turning 18. Now, legally, at the age of 18, you can't tell nobody nothing.
Exactly.
And so that's even
where the
more
cult comes into it.
Yeah, that's when the brainwashing and the mental comes into it, because now it's like they're like deers in headlights. They can't fend for themselves
because he got them at the age where he
needed
to get them to manipulate them.
Right.
He's a predator. Like, he is the definition of a predator.
And I feel like those parents dropped the ball. I feel like everybody around him is just as sick as he is. Did you hear
the one family with the sister who she like went to go get the other sister and they threw her out and she didn't say shit to her parents? Like, what the fuck was that? Like, honestly, that's the most ridiculous shit I ever heard. Like, this was more recent, right? Like, this was in the past 2 years. And your sister is working with R. Kelly, like, 1. And 2, you go see her to make sure she's all right, and then they fucking beat you up.
They beat you up.
And then you don't say shit. And you don't say nothing to your parents. You don't say nothing about the young ladies that you saw trapped in rooms, trapped in fucking closets with R. Kelly. Like, you didn't say shit. Like, that to me was wild.
With buckets in the corners.
With buckets in the corner.
God knows. Like, I feel so sorry for those women.
I know.
And I really, truly hope that.
And those parents,
if some of them, if not all of them, got the help that they need to move forward in their life in a healthy way, because that type of stuff, I can't even imagine will this really traumatize somebody, and it's sick. And he's been allowed to do this for so long, and I feel like the community has failed those women. I feel like those parents have failed those women, and I feel like he's just a very lost and sick person
who needs help. At the end of the day, like, he needs help. Like, something needs to be done because he needs help.
That's what it is.
He was like trying to bag kids at his trial. Like, that's sick.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did. And that girl willingly was just like, oh, well, it's R. Kelly. I believe you. This, that, and the other. It's like, all right. Next thing you know, you're in the fucking mansion with him, and he's telling you to strip. Now what? Like, come on now.
And what do you think that you would do if you're ever in that situation?
I mean, I'm not going to be silent about it. That's my thing. Like, I've always, and I was just talking about this just on social media and stuff, like, from a very young age, like, my mother explained to me, like, what inappropriate, what inappropriate touching was. She explained to me, we had code words for if someone was coming to pick me up and I didn't know who they were or whatever the case may be. Like, she explained all of these things to me at a young age. She explained to me how I need to be aware of my body at a young age. I was very shapely, even though I was younger.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she was a teacher and a mandated reporter. So I also think that
she
made
had
her
that
even more hyper-aware because it was her. She worked in a school. It was her job to make sure if a child came to school and didn't look right or was showing signs of abuse or anything, it's her job to report that. But all that being said, she always made it a safe space for me to know if anything happens, you can come to me and talk to me about it if you don't feel right, if you're questioning it. And I just feel like while all those parents did that, they just failed their kids. My parents were very strict with me, but looking back, it's like they knew where I was at all times. I wasn't lying about where I was going because I feared the wrath that would come if, like, my parents supported me in my dancing activities and the things I wanted to do. So it was I never felt like I had to hide anything from them. And even if something did happen, I know I could go to them and they will believe me.
And I think that's the most tragic part of it is like, yo, these girls didn't have that. So, like, you know what I mean? Like they can't reach out to their parents. They didn't have it.
That's
you know
the
what
sad
I mean?
part.
That's the saddest part because, like, something was happening to them and, they may have liked it in the beginning because it was R. Kelly and it was whatever. But the second it became negative, they didn't feel like they could find someone to help them out. Like, that's sad. Or, like, they didn't have the tools to know how to not be okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, that's sad. That's really sad. And I also have to say that I feel like, I know that if they were white girls, this would have been stopped happening.
Oh, hell yeah.
If he was picking up little 12-year-old white girls at school and there was white parents outside R. Kelly's house with posters and fucking news cameras. He was literally hanging out
at the high school.
He would have been arrested. That's what I'm screaming. Like, he would have been arrested so long ago.
Like,
come on.
Like, no one ever went up to him and is like, why are you here hanging out across
at the fucking
street
high
from
school,
a
R.
high
Kelly?
School?
Rob?
R. Kelly, like you would think you have women of all ages, colors, like, but you go for the most young and vulnerable ones. Like, that's sick. Disgusting. That's sick. You don't want no 40-year-old woman who wants to just deal with you.
Who wants to teach you how to read? Your wife is trying to teach you how to read.
Well, even with that situation,
she's wild. Did you see on Twitter, or I don't even know where it was, somewhere on social media after the documentary came out, she's now like sticking up for him and like, I get money, like I do respect him because he gives me money, like that hurts.
I mean, like, I'm sure she has it like pretty rough of all of them because it was like she was married to him, so it was like it's the father of your children, though, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, how do you reconcile, like, that's who that person is and trying to have respect for that person and raising kids with them, but knowing he's a sick fuck.
Yeah.
I don't think I would let my kids be around
I would never let my kids see their daddy R. Kelly.
Nah.
Do you know how, like, terrible, like, they must
Supervised visits. Supervised, because you're liable to do some foul shit.
Yeah, did you hear her? She was like, I don't know what you're capable of, like, with my children. Like,
right.
What?
Like...
Can't just tell you
that's a situation where the courts will be involved for sure. Like,
oh my
supervised
God, 100%. Not even
that, because
he hasn't even
like,
paid. She said in the documentary that he hasn't even paid child support. So,
well, I mean, let's really think. Like, he hasn't really had no hits lately.
Saying.
I'm sure keeping a sex cult of young women comes is expensive. That's multiple mouths to feed if he's feeding them.
He's not feeding them, though.
Like he's not feeding them often.
But he gotta pay everybody's mother and father
and shit to like come out the bedroom. Like, that's like, nah, that's crazy. When that woman said she sat in the living room and she said his wife was like knocking on the bedroom door to come eat. Like, I was floored because even then that didn't reconcile in your head. Like, okay, and there's some real weird shit going on. This isn't probably a house I should be in. And I shouldn't be alone with all of these men by myself. Like, She was just, I don't know how I feel about her because it was just like,
I like Sparkle.
I like her,
Sparkle.
but then I'm also like, you're to blame. You're just as much to blame as well, and you have a role in this. No matter what you did after the fact. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like she just closed. I feel like she just played like kind of a blind eye in the beginning. Until it was especially so when up it came in her to face her where she couldn't no more. Right. That's what I'm saying.
It's like he wasn't allowing people to speak to you. He wasn't allowing people to speak to you.
His wife.
You had to go out of your way to like talk to crew members and talk to people around. Then after that, you introduce your niece to him, and after that, shortly after that, you find her in the studio by herself, and she didn't come with you.
Screaming.
Up until that point, she didn't come with you. How did you get here? Why are you here by yourself? That, you find her in the studio by herself, and it's just ridiculous. It's crazy. It's like, how do you do that? And then how do you leave her there? That's the thing. You didn't say, all right, come with me, come to my booth, or come into my studio session. You're gonna be with me. Like, don't be coming here by yourself. If you want to come here and record, that's fine. But let me know as your aunt, you need to be with me. Like, she just left her there. And then, like, it's just sick. It's just sick. We could go on for days and days talking about this, but it's just sick. It's sad. I hope that
fuck R. Kelly.
I hope those women get out. Yeah, fuck R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was never a big R. Kelly fan. Anyway, I feel like all his hits were out when I was like young. Like all his Bump and Grind,
my mom
12 Play, all of that shit. Like the only real R. Kelly songs I know of as an adult are like, okay, Step in the Name of Love, Ignition.
I Believe I Could Fly.
And Happy People. Yeah, I Believe I Could Fly. You right.
All right.
And then Happy People. Otherwise, I don't listen to that nigga R. Kelly like that. So, you know, fuck R. Kelly. You know, like, free those women. You know what I'm saying? I hope that this investigation actually sticks this time.
Yeah, that's great.
The first time they let that